Okay, let me use this short video to explain something, a deception that has been used to hold our people for a while, and that is the blood of Jesus deception. In most Christian churches, wherever you go, you see people praying, and they'll be saying, "I'll cover you with the blood of Jesus, this, blood of Jesus." They'll be pouring 20 liters of blood of Jesus, 50 liters of blood of Jesus. Um, Children of God, there's something I want you to know. If you see somebody who is walking down the street and that person is covered in blood, you will not say, "Oh, this person is a good person," or "This person is heavily protected." You won't say that. You Somebody being covered in blood does not denote anything good. You will say this person is either a murderer or a lunatic, or maybe at best you say he work in an abattoir or something. So the deception we've been led to in Christian churches is to believe that the blood of Jesus, covering with the blood of Jesus, is some kind of protection or is something positive, is something good. That is not true. Covering by the blood is clearly a satanic ritual, and you will see this being externalized by Hollywood. Hollywood celebrities, at some stage of their initiation in their cult, they publicly cover themselves with blood. Any blood of any kind. Mostly these are actually human blood. And you see that the reason they do this is because it's some kind of initiation. And this is what they brought into the church, into Christianity, by telling you that you need to be covered by the blood of Jesus. This is devil talk. This is pure witchcraft that's happening. And you, as an innocent person who does not know what he's doing, you are not supposed to be dabbling in this with them. Don't dabble in this kind of ritual with them because it's not biblical at all. Being covered by the blood of something, be assuming, let's say you are covered by somebody's blood, who doesn't matter who, you are assuming responsibility for the shedding of that blood. You are assuming responsibility for pouring that blood. If you come to a murder scene, right? And let's say the police come to a murder scene and they see you covered all over with the victim's blood, you are the number one suspect. There's no way you're going to talk yourself out of that. So this is exactly what is happening here. If you are covered by anybody's blood, you are responsible for that person's murder. But don't take it from me. Let's go to the Bible. Let's go to the book of Leviticus, okay? And let's look at Leviticus chapter 20. And let's see what the Most High, because in the book of Leviticus, the Most High was giving Moses, Shemaiah, the laws, the omenan, the tradition of our people. And he was telling our people what we should do and what we shouldn't do, and the punishment for sins that people will bear for committing certain sins in the community. If you go to the book of Leviticus chapter 20, in verse 11, it says, "And the man that lieth with his father's wife hath uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them." In verse 12, he said, "If a man lies with a daughter-in-law, they should be put to death because they have brought confusion, and their blood shall be upon them." In verse 13, another one, it says, "If a man lies with a mankind or womankind," that's this homosexuality nonsense that's currently going on, "they should be put to death, and their blood shall be upon them." The same thing happens in verse 16, the same thing happens in verse 27. Now, children of God, I've just quoted 5 places in the same chapter in Leviticus that the Most High was saying, "Their blood shall be upon them." What that means is this: if you kill somebody, if you remember in the last series of videos I did about Igbo people returning to Menani, the first aspect of coming back to Menani I mentioned is that of murder. Igbos, we don't commit murder. We don't kill people. If you shed blood, you are responsible for that blood. Now, the Most High knows that if there are sins that require punishment of death, the person that is responsible to administer that punishment of death will be worried about, okay, if I kill these people, does that mean that their blood will be of me? That's what the person will be worried about. And the Most High went further to explain to us in these 5 places I've mentioned in Leviticus chapter 20, verse 11, all the way to verse 27, that when you exact punishment on people who have committed atrocities, who have committed what their land does not tolerate, their own blood should be on them. What that means, brothers and sisters, is that when somebody's blood is on you, you are responsible for that person's death. That is the same thing that happened in Genesis chapter 4. In Genesis chapter 4, in verse 10, the Most High asked Cain, "What have you done? The blood of your brother is crying out from the ground." You see, a blood is life. That is life. Every other thing is just flesh. Blood, the soul is in the blood. I know when you watch Hollywood movies, they'll tell you that the soul is just some whitish spirit that floats around. No, the soul is in the blood. That is what gives life. And so, if you're covered by anybody's blood, you are assuming responsibility for that person's death, even man and animal, not just man. That's why the scripture tells us that whenever we see blood, whether it's from man or that's from animal, we should cover it with the earth. Let the earth take responsibility for that. You should not be covered by anybody's blood. So again, don't be deceived by this nonsense that they brought in through Christianity. It is not, they are just making you assume responsibility for a murder you didn't commit, for a murder of so called Jesus that you didn't commit. None of you was alive when Jesus was supposedly alive. So don't take responsibility for the death you did not commit. I know in Christian churches they'll be telling you that, oh, Christ died for our sin, that we are the one that killed him. I remember that when I was young, I'll go to my friend's place to watch television, and they were showing this Passion of Christ thing, not the movie Passion of Christ, but something to that regard. And my friend's mom would be crying, an old woman, just crying that we killed Jesus because of our sin. And even then, as a child, I could not even imagine when did I kill this guy? What did I do? As a child, I couldn't even imagine myself taking responsibility for that. It doesn't make any sense. So this blood of Jesus thing is a deception. It's a deception to make you impure, for you to accept death, accept blood that you are not supposed to. You're not supposed to be covered by anybody's blood. Genesis chapter 10, verse 4, verse 10 told us that the blood cries out. And in the book of Leviticus chapter 20, verse 11 to 27 was very clear that the blood of somebody, when the blood of somebody is on your head, you are responsible for that person's death. And this is what they make us assume with this blood of Jesus deception. Children of the Most High, when you're praying, pray to your Father, pray to the God of Abraham, Chuku Abiyama. Pray to the God who gives you life. Do not wish an imaginary somebody's blood be covered on you or on your children. Do not do that. That does not give you any kind of protection whatsoever. Not in it. Children of God, I know that in the New Testament there are literally hundreds of verses where it talks about blood of Jesus and stuff like that. And that's why I've always told brothers and sisters, don't waste your time reading the New Testament until you understand the Old Testament. If you understand the traditions in the Old Testament, and if you understand that those traditions are eternal, it is written, they are eternal, they are not changing. Then, when you read the New Testament, you will be able to pick out what is true and what is false. For instance, let's go to the New Testament. In the book of John, chapter 6, from verse 55, it says, "For my flesh is real food, and my blood is real drink. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me, and I in them." Children of the Most High, any Igbo person that read this will not welcome it, because we don't eat human blood. We don't drink human blood, and we don't eat human flesh in our tradition. You go and tell Abraham that he needs to eat somebody's blood or flesh. Just think about that. Don't forget about what you read in this, but just think about it. Think, will you go and tell Elijah that he needs to come and eat somebody's blood or flesh to worship his God? Are you serious? Now, these things you're seeing in the New Testament, they were added. The New Testament is where the Europeans got hold of our manuscript and they used it to create a fictitious religion called Christianity, a religion of witchcraft, a religion of conquer. That is what Christianity is, and that is what in that religion they now placed in a whole lot of what they have in their tradition. Eating of flesh and drinking of blood, whether you call it blood of Jesus or whatever, that is not biblical at all. This is vampiric traditions. This is cannibalistic traditions. Both of these traditions are what is well known in Europe. The Europeans are well known for vampirism and cannibalism. Eating of human flesh is what they've always done. If you don't believe me, there is a well known British scientist called Richard Dawkins who wrote some years ago that they are looking forward to eating human flesh, something that they have always desired to do. This is the same person that talks about pedophilia and talk about how pedophilia should be recognized and everybody should be doing it. These are the kind of people that are respected in European society. If you look at the lives of the so-called respected scientists, European scientists, these people are lunatics, vampires, all of them, witches and wizards, vampires and cannibals. This is what they do, and they bring this in and insert it in the New Testament for you to be practicing it with them, for you to accept it as something acceptable in the sight of the God of Abraham. God forbid. Children of God, you need to understand that is the deception. The blood of Jesus, covering by the blood of Jesus, eating and drinking blood of Jesus. This is a deception. Even it's not something that the Hebrews do, it's not something that the Hebrews tolerate. The God of the Hebrews does not tolerate human sacrifice. But these people have inserted it in the New Testament, and if you don't understand that they have adulterated this document, then you will believe it. You will think that's something good. It's a deception, children of God, and I want to warn you about it. The Most High bless you. So.